everybody. Welcome to the TechRaptor podcast. I'm Robert Scarpanito, your features editor.
Andrew Rutten, editor-in-chief.
Andrew Stretch, site founder.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
Yep, no, it's me. It's always been me. You guys know, like, the Berenstein Bear effect? It's just, don't bother listening to previous podcasts. Scrappy, take it away.
Oh, funny. I thought that was known as the Mandela effect.
Or is it the Mandela effect that causes the Berenstein Bear problem? I don't know, man.
Well, I am. It's good to know that you're in charge now. You owe me a lot of money.
Well, it's not that now. It's that he always has been.
That's right. Charge. I forgot. You always have been, so we need to talk about all the money you owe me.
Right.
Yeah, that's fine.
All the embezzlement you've been doing.
I'm glad that you decided to bring it up today on this recording of a public podcast. Yeah. So do we want to go through all of the reports against you in the company first before you want to talk about money? Or
are you publicly blackmailing me?
Hey, everyone in court. Hello. Hi. Nice to meet you. I'm glad that we're playing this in front of testimony for everyone.
Objection.
It can't be any more crazy than the herd dip stuff.
That's true. But no, Rutledge is away this week. You know, he's taking a vacation. He's enjoying. He's dead. So we're just doing a 3-man pod for this week, and we're gonna talk about some Rogue Legacy. I just looked at our doc.
Oh.
Okay. Inside baseball. We have
a bit of an accident.
We have a little document, okay, where we see what everyone puts in, what they want to talk about for the second half, and we have Rutledge's name still there, and someone, not me, put pegging on that list next to his name.
No, it's Peglin. He's definitely still just been playing Peglin this week.
Sorry. You know how Amber Heard intentionally shit the bed? Not so much on the intentional part. Anyway, let's get to the news.
Yeah, do we need to start this from the top?
No, we're doing this. This is it. This is the show.
Oh boy.
This is how we do. Let's get into something more serious. Wata is being sued. It's a class action lawsuit. Wata is that company that rates retro games based on their condition, etc., and then works with, isn't it Heritage Foundation? To sell heritage auctions to sell off these games. You might remember, like it was a year ago, a copy of Super Mario that was rated at like a 9.8, which is like really, really, really pristine, sold for like over $1 million, like over $1.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
This class action lawsuit, led by 3 people, but by being class action, you know, many other collectors can join in, alleges that Wata, it does some racketeering, does a little bit of price manipulation, delays their shipping for games that are like it's too much of a delay. And if I remember right, a while back, you know, Ott and I were talking about this, and you said that there's something fucky going on with Wata.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So many people have said it when we go from, you know, a game of relatively similar rating just 6 months before that was going for like 50 grand. All of a sudden it's over $1 million. There's something not right happening. Mm-hmm. Just doesn't happen.
There was a period there too where it was just like over the course of a few months, it was just like record break.
Over and over.
Yeah.
So that's enormous news. You know, if the people who you want to rate your games to give you money can't be trusted, then, you know, are there a million entrepreneurs starting up their own businesses right now to compete?
And it's just kind of a bigger story. We were talking a little bit before the podcast was recording. Like, this was all part of the craze of like the Pokemon card craze, where people were like, Pokemon cards have always been popular, obviously, but they were insane. There was just an insane bum rush on them for quite a while, and it was all this big collector stuff, and this is fed right into it. Video game stuff and Pokemon cards and other collectibles all were just going nuts for a while.
Mm-hmm. Well, because the thing too, right, is like that by setting the price that high for just one game, even if it's like a pristine condition, right, it has that trickle down effect on the rest of the market, where all these other retro games, like, even for more hobbyist, average, you know, like your everyday collector, it's getting harder and harder for them to afford to collect all of these older games. you know, and it kind of just destroys the whole market entirely. Like, it gets to the point where I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot of people who used to be collectors in maybe 2020 who aren't collectors now in 2022.
Yeah,
but I don't get it, Scrappy. Why would you pay $1 million for Super Mario 64 when you can just
Xbox
play it on your Wii?
I swear to God.
Oh.
Okay.
I thought you were going to do the dumb joke about, I only paid $10 for the digital thing.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, or Switch Online as well.
Yeah.
Like, it's there.
Whatever.
What else are you going to want it for?
Or think about, you know, your average person that's like, oh, if I go and buy or spend money on this thing, you know, I can expect to get, you know, $100,000 if I go to this auction or whatever.
It falls into that same realm of, like, the people, like the guy who bought, you know, Jack Dorsey's first tweet as an NFT for 3.4 million and then was only able to sell it for 50 grand.
Yeah, this is very NFT vibes.
Get rich quick, entrepreneur spirit. It's just people coming out of it losing money.
Yeah.
A lot of people.
And I think what's interesting here is there's so many layers to this story where, like, so for example, when that copy of Super Mario 64 sold for $1.56 million in July 2021, after that, these allegations started to come out. And so another copy of Super Mario 64 rated at a 9.6, so just a 0.2 difference of, I guess, quality, sold for $100,000. That's like less than 10% of the one that sold in July. And that one that sold for $100,000 sold that for just like 3 months later. So it's just, it kind of makes you feel like, okay, how important is that 0.2 difference to the point where it can actually add, what is that, $1.3 million to the price tag, right? Like, it's ridiculous.
That's kind of a part of it that doesn't seem as crazy to me. That, like, you know, an average person who just, like, keeps their games in a case or a box or whatever will probably still end up with, like, a, you know, 6 or 7 rated something or other. I can imagine just the exponential curve that, like, you know, to get from a, you know, 8.5 to a 9, you're probably only going to see a jump of $10,000. But I can definitely imagine getting, like, once you get up into that upper echelon, that 9.5, 9.6, Lord knows what a 10 out of 10 that's got to be, you know, kissed by Miyamoto himself.
No, it can't be, because the acids.
Yeah,
that's true.
Things cause damage.
It will have had a kiss blown to it by Miyamoto in a and like photograph
but
proof,
the humidity
a signed
from the
affidavit
thing.
I can imagine that would, you know, to get from 9.8 up to a 10 would probably like double the price again, or something crazy.
Maybe, like, I see what you're getting at. Where, like, that's definitely a big thing with collectors. Of, like, once you get to that point, the minutia really do matter in terms of differentiating value. But a factor of 10 for that's
more than 10 even.
Yeah, more than 10 even.
Do I, as a human being who has minimal interest in collecting, still think that this is crazy banana pants? Yes, I just definitely, like, I'm not defending this at all.
No, I know, but I'm just saying I don't think, even, like, let's say we're talking about the people that are these kind of collectors that 0.1 or 2 does matter and they're willing to pay the premium for it. I don't think the premium that they're willing to pay is a factor of 10 or 15 of something. I don't think that's quite it. I definitely do think there is money added on top, but there's probably something to be said with these, like, Wata gradings or even gradings of other kinds, like, to have the highest graded thing, whatever that is. It probably speaks your volumes. I don't know if 9.8 is the highest.
Sounds
Wherever,
like the person who bought it for $1.56 million is just like that bad guy of the heist film that comes in and is just, like, you know, wearing a black suit, has an entourage, like, always outbidding our plucky heroes. Sorry, I rewatched Uncharted last week. All I've got on my mind.
I thought we were going for Oceans, like 11.
Yeah,
I was gonna
Oceans
say
as well.
Brad Pitt.
Yeah, that movie's kind of based on Uncharted, if you look at it. Yeah. I mean, there are other like things going on too with the lawsuit, like where there are allegations that the co-founder of Heritage Auctions is, like, really involved in Wata. Like, he was an advisory board member and an investor before allegedly divesting those interests in 2021. But I mean, even if you did divest them, it's still hard to divorce that potential conflict of interest, right? When in that same year is when they sold a game for $1.5 million, right? And there are other accusations as well that Wata staff members get their own games graded and they sell those off, which is like, okay, if you work for the company, you could possibly influence whatever the rank would be for your game, right? Maybe it's a little bit more mint than you actually think it is or whatever. And then when you sell it off, you're making money off it, right? Just another conflict of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, if all of these allegations are true, it definitely does not paint Wata in a good light. And I don't know, it just seems like suddenly they're becoming the bad guys of the retro gaming.
For a company like this, their reputation is everything. Like, that's not, looking at a 9.8, it isn't because of some universal thing. It's because these people, these experts say, this is what this is worth. But yeah, when you can't trust those people to, with your goods, with their own customers' goods, with their employees' goods, then how much does that 9.8 really mean?
Well, and the other weird thing about Wata is that they are an extremely young company. They've only been around for 5 years. There's been other video game graders that have been around a lot longer. So what all of a sudden about their grading process or their thing is all that special?
Yeah. And who knows, right? I can't say I'm someone who is interested enough in collecting these retro games where it's I would probably never spend over $1,000 on any of these games, let alone $1.5 million, right? I think
what's the game you'd spend $1,000 on?
I don't know.
Come on,
Shrek Super Slam.
Oh,
a really mint copy of Shrek Super Slam for the GameCube.
Yeah.
You could find an intact copy of E.T. for the Atari.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be pretty.
I bet that'd go for a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, considering they were all landfilled to have one.
Yeah, we know where to find all the shitty copies of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think one of the other allegations going on here is that the three main plaintiffs have stories of how it took Wata longer than expected or promised to deliver the games that they bought. One of them even says it's a year late, right, to receive those games. And when you think about just how much these games quote unquote degrade in value over time, literally within 3 months, right? Super Mario 64 went from $1.5 million in value to 100,000, even though slightly not as highly graded, right? If it takes you 2 years to get your hands on a game where you paid 100,000 for it, and then its value is 10,000 at that point.
Yeah, well,
it's
what's
easy
crazy
to feel gypped.
Is this guy said one of them was he was told quoted 15 days, but it took over 7 months.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we're talking, it could take 6 months to a year, and then it ended up taking over a year. It's no, we have it to you in 2 to 3 weeks, and then months and months go by. So that's pretty egregious.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's part of them being such a new company and their boom in popularity.
I'm sure that's what they'll say. Oh, we had so many orders.
Yeah, that's the
don't
easy
promise
way
it
to
then.
look at it.
Don't say that you can deliver it and then don't.
Mm-hmm.
Or just charge them more for faster grading.
That's right. Now
Priority
you're thinking
system.
like a business. Now you're
You're
an American. Yeah,
I would, Mr. Businessman, I would like 3 stocks, please.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how that works.
Oh, they're shares, but yeah.
Well, they're the same thing, kind of.
I'll share 2. You can each have 1.
Oh,
There you go.
I want the Apple one, please.
Yeah, I don't know. I think this is just an interesting development from that slew of stories that were breaking a new record, right?
Yeah,
of
it was
how much
the
this
big
costs, and now
summer
it's
story last year.
yeah, and now this kind of reframes it all, where it's oh, did we just witness a crime of some kind?
Seemingly, it definitely something was off.
Yeah, is this fraud? Yeah, I don't know. find it hard to relate personally, but I do think that there's something about like just seeing that much money go by. Like, of course, people are going to ask questions, and now that people are asking questions, it sounds like the hammer is slowly coming down.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see, because it was such like a darling story of last year to be like, holy crap, this is so much money, and now it's like, ugh, and in 3 months it might be like, yikes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how many people join the class action, like total. Because I know, like, it became super popular. Everybody was sending stuff to Wata for whatever. Like, it just became a very casual thing for your everyday person to do, or like something. Not by everyday, I mean everyday person that was like into this kind of stuff just casually. It was like, why not? Who knows? Maybe I'm sitting on a gold mine. That's the thought process, right?
Should I check my console bag?
Yeah, I'm sure they're banging around together.
Send that like no styrofoam. Just throw the duffel bag in the USPS drop box.
So for those not aware, I have a bag of old consoles, like a large duffel bag of old consoles sitting in the bottom of my closet. I don't plan to ever like use them to play them. At some point I would probably like to display them.
The bag of intruders
somewhere, but at the moment, for the few like collectors that we have on the TechRaptor staff, I love getting a chance to share around the photo of my console bag. Like one of the side pockets has 2 generations of Kinects in it. At the very bottom of the bag is a GameCube and a Game Boy player and 2 Game Boy Advance to GameCube link cables. It's bad. I'll admit it myself.
And you might be imagining maybe there's like some towels or newspaper or something between these so they don't bump up to each other. No.
They're all packed in there so tight they can't move. That's better than better than anything.
So any
like
abrasion is going to be very tough.
Yeah, you learned that from
right
Tetris.
Next to each other.
Hey, when I have an Xbox console that I can show that there's been worn into time, a PlayStation logo etched into it from wear and tear, that's going to be big
money. Don't say it's from wear and tear. Say you just discovered it, like those people that find the Virgin Mary on stuff. Like, you'll never believe.
Or like, this is the prototype of the PlayStation Sega console. It's like, ooh. It's history.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Send it into Wata to get graded.
Exactly. It'd be like a physical NFT.
They would send me back like a cease and desist letter. Please stop traumatizing our employees.
Please stop showing the bag in question. Thank you.
I love that bag.
In other news, we're going to go across the sea, across the Pacific to Japan, or we're going to check out Atlus. So every year, Atlus does a little survey for pretty much only Japan, where they kind of just gauge their fans' interest in their games. But this year, for the first time, yeah, I like them. That's all the survey is. Do you like the games? Yes or no?
And no, it's big not. Thumbs up or a thumbs down.
That is not all the survey is.
Yeah. So this year they opened it up for the first time for only people in the U.S. Well, I mean, and also Japan, but in terms of outside of Japan, they're also opening it to the U.S. So it's in English, and you can't. By the time you're hearing this, you can't take it anymore because it closed yesterday on Sunday. But it's still really interesting to see, like, hey, maybe Atlus is finally, after all these underground sleeper hits, finally taking a look to see what things are like on the other side of the ocean.
They invented jazz, They did. And now they're like, the West seems to really like this.
Yeah, they created Shibuya. Crazy stuff.
Shibuya, that location from Kingdom Hearts 3?
Well, Kingdom Hearts 3, like, they were influenced by Persona. Like, that's a little bit of the Persona universe.
There's going to be a Persona world in Kingdom Hearts 4.
Right.
That would be amazing. Yo. Yeah. Jazz funk covers of Simple and Clean? Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
running around with Joker. You'd be a phantom thief.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to go to our in-the-field correspondent, Otten. You finished this survey.
Oh, yes, I did.
During the pre-show.
Well, let's put it this way. I only made it to question 6 before I said, no way, this is going to take way too long. How far did you get, Scrappy?
I got to question 16. I still have a tab open. I will finish this before the end of the weekend.
I think there's like 50 questions.
Oh my God.
Something like that. But anyway, so it starts out pretty normal of like, how old are you? How much free time do you have? What kind of job do you do? That kind of stuff. But then there comes a question of what games have you heard of?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really long list of games. So it's a lot of Atlus games, obviously, and then it's other stuff like the next Breath of the Wild, the next Pokemon, and
Elden
big
Ring's on there.
Elden Ring's on there, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we are who we are, we basically have heard of every game.
Yeah. Like,
You
I don't
do
know about
that-
you. I picked every one except for one.
Yes, same here.
Mm-hmm.
And
So which
was
of the
a
games you
mistake.
didn't know?
Persona Q2, I did not know there was a second one.
Yeah. And I didn't know Project Re Fantasy. I still, in my mind, can't think of what that is right now.
It's something that's not out. They didn't said much about it.
Mm.
It's an Atlas thing. Anyway, they then ask you a bunch of questions about all of those games that you selected. So it became very long to answer. But anyway, it's an interesting survey in that they get pretty specific of asking if we were to do a remaster, what kind of stuff, what would be important to you? And like a new story, a new chapter, new characters, or do you just want, quality of life stuff, like new graphics and updated UI and that kind of stuff? Like what's the most important that you would want to see in it? Then ask you other stuff about their franchises, like what would you like to see and that kind of thing, and how do you play these games and that kind of stuff. It's my understanding that when they've done it with Japan, that this has been they have said anyway that it forms a lot of their future plans, or they use this information to make a lot of decisions. So the fact that they're doing it in the West at all is definitely super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe means they're going to be doing more stuff like simultaneous releases, possibly.
Yeah.
Or more stuff to the PC and moving more things over.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we've been slowly seeing that influence from Sega, right? Because like their parent company. Because, I think Yakuza 7 was a simultaneous release worldwide, right? The Like a Dragon. And that came out on PC right at the same time. And, they've been slowly migrating all the Yakuza games to PC. And now they're all there. It's all the ones that are available in the West. Persona 4 Golden was got like a second chance at life again because of its Steam release. Not that it was dead or anything, but, I just got a huge bump in like mental cognition, I guess, or like cultural power,
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't played it yet. I plan on it at some point whenever I have 100,000 hours on my free time.
It's only 120, excuse you, it's just 120 hours.
But I bought it just because I was like, man, hopefully it'll just go towards some stat to convince them to do more stuff on there. Atlus is, they do good stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I'm a big sucker for the Persona games, so like any more that they throw out there, I will gladly eat them up, except for the dancing games.
And I would love to see the SMT series. I don't know what they could do to broaden it to some people, get it into more people's hands, because it's been such a mobile focused franchise for a while now. Basically since the 3DS. It'd be interesting to see if more people would be interested in it, because I know there has been some people that have like dabbled into SMT5 since it came to the Switch. They're like, oh, I like Persona, I'll like this. It's like, well,
No.
it's not really the same at all. It's a lot more like serious and like definitely not the same. But they're also fantastic, like amazingly good at what they are. And it'd be interesting to see if that gets a little more people interested in talking about them, because you get a lot of Atlus fans are like Persona news, and then when there is SMT news, they're like, they're so pissed.
Yeah.
SMT is good too.
Yeah, SMT is basically like adult. It's the adult Pokemon game. Everyone's like, I wish Pokemon were harder. Like, play some SMT.
Ish, yeah.
That's what it is, yeah.
They're very unique.
Mm-hmm.
And their stories are wild.
Yeah. And I think that this isn't the first time I've seen Japanese companies like do surveys outside of Japan, because I think a while back Capcom did one too for Ace Attorney, like right around after the time Great Ace Attorney Chronicles came out. And the questions were pretty similar, like what do you want to see in the future of the Ace Attorney games, or like that series. I think they're trying to gauge interest of whether or not they want to make more of them. But it's just interesting to see more and more of these companies start to like, I guess, do a little bit of not focus group testing, but at least trying to gauge the interest beyond their borders,
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully this means maybe Persona 6 might be a simultaneous release. Who knows? Because
It'd be neat.
even with how big Persona 5 was, that was not simultaneous release.
No, and I think with how big, I know I'm sure Persona 5 was humongous in Japan too, but it's been really, really huge here in the West that I've seen anyway. So hopefully this is a reflection of that, because I think it's this weird thing where I think it's still just an old school mentality that, you know, they don't. Some companies just don't seem to realize just how connected everything is now. Like East versus West, obviously markets are different. People are generally more interested in some other things depending on where you're from and stuff. But for things like this, like Japanese games are insanely popular here.
Yeah,
like there's definitely like it, and I'm by the West, I mean Europe, US, everybody. So hopefully they're realizing like you don't have to be so Japan centric or think, oh, people aren't going to like this because we're, you know, it's too Japanese or whatever. I think a lot of Japanese companies are realizing that, Sega being probably at the forefront of that in terms of the big name companies. Definitely not Square Enix.
No, well, Square Enix is going to keep doing that.
Although they just don't like Western developers, apparently, Western development companies. They do put out their games in the West.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that because wasn't there that other story that came out this past week where Sega has said like, oh, we plan on doing a lot of remakes and remasters over the
Something
next
like
year.
that, yeah, and some new games.
So I'm wondering if that means like just Sega or like,
oh yeah,
you know, all they're under like, you know, Ryuga Gotoku, Atlus, etc. Right? Because if Atlus is included in that, I mean, I know people have been clamoring, demanding, hoping for like a Persona 3 remaster, Persona 1 and 2.
Oh, they would go nuts, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Or even for any of those like much older titles that, you know, maybe never even graced the Western shores or, you know, are impossible to get your hands on nowadays. Like I bet people would be, you know, interested. They would definitely show their age now, but I bet people would be super interested in like seeing where Shin Megami Tensei's roots were. And some of those Japanese only original games, and where they, you know, that might be an easy port to throw together.
Totally.
I mean, so if you're talking about those early games, those are something else. I would think
like, yeah, no, I'm not saying that, you know, it would be a good selling point because they would be good games or
no,
that
I'm not saying that they're bad or something.
age.
It's just that they're quite the I don't know, quite dense, quite the hurdle. I think if they. It would be interesting to see them to take a modern take on what they'd already made for their early stuff. Because I have a friend who's very much into SMT stuff, so I remember him playing the early games, and they're pretty wild. It's pretty crazy. And then it made me think of the context of when that came out, and I was like, that's such a forward-thinking game. Because like all the stuff that, you know, like talking to demons and doing all that kind of stuff, and the crazy Yahweh and all this Christian religion and all this crazy stuff was happening in that game in the early like 90s.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is such a crazy thing to think that they've been doing it the whole time.
Wow. And I also would be curious, like if they did bring back Persona 2 in some way, like a remake or remaster, do they keep Hitler? Because Hitler's in that game. He's one of the bad guys.
I mean,
you fight him.
I would think so.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm hoping that this survey, like, we'll see some sort of effect of it maybe in the couple months after the survey closes. We'll see, right? I know there have been like rumors for the longest time about a Persona 3 remake of some sort, and
I think that's
at
just
this
people
point
hoping it.
It's like I feel like it's more that and just trying to manifest it, right?
I would not be opposed. That was my introduction to Persona, which I think it was for a lot of people.
Yeah, same.
Which is why.
Yeah, because I feel like there's that cutoff, right? Where like if you're a fan of Persona, it's probably 3, 4, and 5.
Yeah. And
if you're like a mega fan, and maybe probably like Shin Megami Tensei 2, you went back to play 1, 2, and 2, 2.
Yeah.
In other news, we've got opposite of Godfall happening here. Gotham Knights, the upcoming co-op kind of punch 'em up,
Arkham
beat 'em
game.
up, looter 'em up.
Yeah, Arkham, but co-op.
Yeah,
I guess.
it was slated for PS5, PS4, Xbox Series, and Xbox One, and PC. But now they are dropping those previous gen console releases. So now it's just PS5, Xbox Series, and PC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Whereas, Godfall, they were like PS5 only, baby. And now it's also on Xbox One. So
I hear Godfall's coming to Ouya next. It's going to be actually really impressive.
Rudd will be
I
happy.
can't
He
wait.
can break it out of his closet.
But yeah, I can't think of another game that has previously confirmed we're doing last gen and then said, never mind, we're not. I feel like most of the
this is
time.
the first time too.
I can think of a lot of games that should have.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably an easier list to figure out.
It's nice that they've had this realization for whatever it was. They're like, all right, maybe they did what Cyberpunk should have and said, okay, these obviously aren't working, so we're not going to release them. Mm-hmm. Instead, like, oh man, remember how pissed people were about Cyberpunk? Yeah, we don't want that.
I mean, even if it wasn't like bugs, if they could just be like, man, the render distance sucks because we've got to factor in all of these different things.
Yeah.
What if we just don't?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sure it's got to put a little bit more freedom in the development. I imagine this was. I wonder how much that had to do with the delay of it and stuff, like coming to this decision.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the install bases and how much time, as we keep hearing that sales of the series consoles and the PS5 are ramping up. I guess may not be the correct term, but just that they're hitting store shelves and they're maybe staying there for a little bit longer than they were a year ago.
Yeah.
That might just give them more faith in making it next gen only.
Because I mean,
it's nice to see a big title like this making the push, so that other developers can file suit, especially with stuff like Unreal 5 around the corner. Like those tech demos are
I can't
fucking
wait
incredible.
To see an Unreal 5 game.
Yeah, I want a game that runs it now.
Yes.
Because I mean, it's been almost 2 years since these new consoles came out, and I feel like demand for them is still high. Like, you still see people be like, I still haven't seen a PS5 in real life. It can be hard to get your hands on one, and the fact that there's still people clamoring for it is like, okay, sure, right now the install base for PS5 doesn't compare to the PS4, but it's gonna keep growing. Like, Sony can't keep up with its demand, and neither can Microsoft, from the sound of it.
Yeah, it's been so funny. Just every year, our PR emails get slammed with like, what is the hottest hardware, the hottest software getting sold per week, per month, per whatever. And every single time there's a new piece that's, the Series X just had its best weekend selling ever in the UK, or, the PlayStation 5 topped the charts and sold X quantities in the Americas. It's like, well, that's really just how many were available to purchase in that time frame. Because, if there were more available, that number would go higher.
And it's allowed, and what's funny is that it's still like, they may have sold well, but the Switch is still sold more.
Yeah, Switch is still kicking ass.
It's still like, not all the time, it's not consistently number one, but it's always like, sometimes it is, and it's not a surprise.
Yeah, like, it can still be a little difficult to get your hands on a Switch.
I wonder if sales will go up, because they just as an aside, they just reduced the retail price, didn't they, of a base model Switch?
I think so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, if anything, this Gotham Knights story is more about like kind of getting ahead of the PR nightmare. Because let's say, like, hypothetically, it comes out, PS5, Xbox Series, and PC all run pretty well, but then the PS4 and Xbox One versions are like real bad, right? So it's like, okay, so it's a quote unquote good game, but then everyone's going to be talking about, like, I can't believe they released it in this buggy state, in this piss poor performance, right? So they're getting ahead of that, right?
Yeah, I didn't have any issues playing Arkham Knight on my Xbox One, but I know that the PC version of that was riddled with issues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sorry, it was riddled with issues.
Oh, I see.
I was wondering if you're going to come back to that.
Yeah, I mean,
I could definitely see that use case from you, Scrappy.
Yeah, because I mean, like, let's remember, Arkham Knight it's a integral part of the history of Steam's refund system.
It is. Well, I mean, it still took them several years after.
Yes, yeah, but it was like it started the conversation.
Yeah. So yeah, but yeah, and I think I can't help but not keep thinking about Cyberpunk. That had to have been quite the tale, like cautionary tale for big developers. Because as popular as Gotham Knight is going to be, it's not going to have 8 million pre-orders like Cyberpunk did, so where they could just be like, we've got our money already. Basically, we don't care.
This also isn't the first time that the Cyberpunk name has been thrown around in a similar light this week. We didn't choose to really delve into it too much on the show today, but there was the big delay of Starfall, and word amongst the developers, Starfield, sorry.
Just kind of mashing up Starfield and Redfall, huh?
No, that's Starfield's delay is that apparently I think it was Schreier that said so, that he was saying that word had been passing around the developers there as well, saying that they don't want to be the next Cyberpunk.
That's right, yeah. Because that's one that's definitely on a similar scale, I would say, to where that would be the definite comparison.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's good that they're getting ahead of this and they're ditching the last gen. We don't need to call it, we don't need to call the series in the PS5 next gen anymore. Yeah. It's current gen. It's here. It has been here.
Mm-hmm. Now we're dropping last gen. Is the story.
But it's still coming to PS2 for some reason.
Hey, that's number one console of all time, baby.
That's true.
Yeah, I can't skip out on that install base.
155 million sold or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
Yeah, it is crazy to see Cyberpunk's knock-on effects after all this,
Name
right?
getting dragged.
Yeah. And I mean, because, CDPR, bless them, they are trying so hard, right? They're constantly updating the game. Every time, a new big patch comes out, I feel like it's still news, right? Where, is Cyberpunk finally playable or whatever?
Yeah. I mean, it is, but...
I mean, it even on launch, it kind of was-ish.
If it was, unless you're playing on PS4 or Xbox One. Those were just trash. I don't know how those play today, but the Gotham Knights getting ahead of it and thinking, okay, it's better to announce this than to have a shitty version, and better to announce this now, particularly when we're getting into the month of all the biggest news, so this will totally be forgotten. Nobody will remember this by the time it comes out in October or whatever.
Agreed.
And it'll be just fine.
Yeah,
and it was also 7 months that Cyberpunk was not available to be purchased.
That's right.
On the PlayStation Store. It's that's a next level fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I think Gotham Knights is also it's going to be challenging that it's the first post Arkham Batman game. So it probably wants to minimize the amount of risk it can, right? So okay, we don't want to have a bad performance on last gen, so let's at least put our best foot forward so that way people can judge this post Arkham world. Yeah,
I mean, they're already starting with Batman is dead. So that's got to be, from a narrative point, that's got to be stressful. Yeah. How quickly are you going to bring Batman back? And how quickly is he going to sideline every other player character? It's like introducing Superman in the Justice League movie. Mm-hmm. It's as soon as he's back, he can do everything better than anyone else.
That'll be the end of the game.
Batman's the bad guy.
No. That's they bring him back at the end.
Oh.
You just get to play him in the final level, and he has everyone's abilities combined.
Sets up the next Batman game.
What if he's the Batman who laughs and he is the bad guy, the final big bad?
Maybe. Or what if he shows up as part of their minds like the Joker did in Arkham Knight, and just Batman's walking around talking shit.
I mean, that'd be cool. I did find that to be one of the coolest parts of the Arkham games. When they
the Arkham Knight, that made that game. That Mark Hamill just chumming it up as the Joker for the whole time as part of Batman's mind. It was amazing.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, let's move on and let's talk about some of the games we've been playing for the past week. Auden, you've been playing Rogue Legacy 2?
I have a lot of it, actually. A lot. So I remember when Rogue Legacy first came out, the first one.
Yeah.
And this was before roguelikes were really a thing. They weren't, there wasn't many around. I think Rogue Legacy, if I'm remembering my history correct, at least how I perceived it at the time, Rogue Legacy kind of kicked it all off. People were like, holy shit, this is cool. And then all of a sudden a bunch of roguelikes started coming out not too long afterwards.
I'm trying to remember, did Binding of Isaac come out first? first?
They're pretty
Or after?
close to one another. They might be right at around the same time. But that plays so differently than a lot of roguelikes do now. Like Rogue Legacy, with this platformery kind of business going on, that's how so many have been modeled after since then.
So Binding of Isaac was September of 2011.
Yeah.
And Rogue Legacy was June of 2013. So it was within 2 years.
So not too far from each other. But it feels like once they did that, everything kind of blew up. And so it's been a little while since we've seen Rogue Legacy. You know, almost 10 years for the sequel to come out. And I knew I was going to play it at some point when it came out because I really enjoyed Rogue Legacy. It's still great. And Rogue Legacy 2 is basically that, but a bunch of more stuff added onto it. It's great.
I mean, that's really what you want.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. If you liked Rogue Legacy or you like any of the roguelikes like Dead Cells and stuff like that, Hades, although, I mean, Hades is different, obviously. It's not a platformer thing, but it's good.
Do they still have all the fun mutations between generations?
Yeah, that's the big deal.
This time you're playing it and you're colorblind.
That's right, and it sucks. Some of them are like, here, now it's old timey, so it's all sepia toned and gold, and like you can't see shit. Or there's one that's what was it? It's like the Diva one where everything is black, but there's a spotlight on you.
Yeah.
And then when you complete like that little section of the map, they throw roses, like you just completed your play or whatever, your
song and dance.
Yeah.
Or there's one like where it flips it upside down, right? And you have to like play upside down.
I haven't had that yet. That'd be wild. But it's just good. I don't really know I have much to say. It doesn't really mess with the formula a ton. It feels very similar. I like the progression of it, the abilities as you unlock them. And I haven't beat it yet. But I'm getting to the harder levels now, and it's definitely getting pretty wild. The platformy bits of it. It's good stuff. It seems like there's a lot of post game things that you can do too, like challenges if you're like really into the game. Like I forgot what they call them. They call them scars or something you find, and then you can go and do these challenges, and they're timed or scores given to them, and that unlocks more stuff for you also. So there's just a lot of cool shit going on with it. It's a very solid game. It's even got a story going through it that's all right enough. You basically just run across little notes that you read, and just sets up a little bit of lore of what's going on in the world. It's not Hades. Don't think it's Hades with the writing. Yeah. But it's still a good time. If you like roguelikes at all, it is good stuff.
I think it'd be remiss if we didn't clarify this is a roguey wogie, right?
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Roguey wogie.
I said roguelike so many times. These are roguey wogies now.
It was hurting me when you were saying it. I'm curious.
But it's a good roguey wogie.
Of all the roguey wogies you played, I mean, at least for me, I think Hades is still probably the best, in my opinion. Where does it land for you among all the roguey wogies you played?
I mean, it's up there. It's really good. The movement is just very satisfying, and to like get to a complex room and then go through it unscathed, which doesn't happen very often, I'll tell you, because it's fucking hard. Yeah. But when it does, it is satisfying as hell. Because it does a really good job of this action platformer game also in terms of in this roguelike, to where the platforming is actually very fun also in it, on top of dealing with these enemies, and it's just a really good combination together. So it's hard to compare it because it has that platforming element changes it in comparison to a lot. Like Dead Cells, there's not really any platforming. Hades, obviously, there's not, and that kind of stuff isn't really part of it. So it's hard to. I don't know. I think to me, Dead Cells is still my top of all time roguelike, roguey wogie, I should say. But I think it's up there with those. It should be. I think what it lacks though is it doesn't. Like Hades, what took that to the next level was the writing of it, right? And the approach to a story that's never been done in a game like that. So I guess it's lacking that kind of element to it. It's extremely solid. And it's only $20. Like the amount of time you're gonna spend playing it's worth more than $20 Honestly, I know we don't like to talk about that. We don't talk about value in our reviews, like how much money they cost, but it's an extremely good game. You'll get a lot of time out of it. I enjoyed it.
Nice. Because, yeah, I would probably put Dead Cells as my number 2 because I love that game. And I don't know, I did play a little bit of Rogue Legacy 2 a few weeks ago because I think it was Ryan in our chat was asking, like, hey, should I buy Rogue Legacy 2 or Dead Cells?
I would say Dead Cells right now still.
Same. And that's where I was at, too. But I was like, I should...
Game Pass.
Yeah, right. Because Dead Cells
has
is on
Dead
Game
Cells.
Pass. Yeah.
And then it also has other games.
So I was like, oh yeah, I should play Rogue Legacy 2, and I played about an hour of it and was like, yeah, this is pretty tough, but everything I was doing I was like, I kind of feel like playing Dead Cells again, so I just booted that up for like 4 hours. Yeah, so it might just be like that framing of like why I bought Rogue Legacy was like on that question of Rogue Legacy or Dead Cells. But I do want to revisit Rogue Legacy 2 and check it out more. Yeah,
and I was definitely excited for it because I did play a bunch of Rogue Legacy and I beat that. And it was at that time when we're talking. You said 2013, so even 2013, that's only 5 years removed. This is just getting really out of the thing. That's only 5 years removed from like Super Meat Boy and Braid and stuff coming out. So this idea of these big hit indie games
indies
didn't exist, that wasn't really around. Still, there were still some, like you mentioned Binding of Isaac and Super Meat Boy and stuff had come out already, so there were some, but the frequency of them was still really low. And Rogue Legacy was one of them that it wasn't nearly as popular as the ones I mentioned so far, but it was still it was big on Steam, I remember in particular, and a lot of people talking about it, and I think it really ushered in a lot of the roguelikes that we have now.
For sure.
And it's so seeing Rogue Legacy 2, seeing the sequel to it, was really neat, and it definitely has the same vibe. It's really good. If you like the first one, you will like this one.
Hell yeah. Stretch, have you been playing some Eiyuden Chronicles Rising?
Yeah, so I figured I would hop into something a little bit weird. In all honesty, I had not been watching any of the marketing for this. I went into it thinking that it was going to be a turn-based RPG. The basic premise is, you're an adventurer that finds a town that's in disrepair due to earthquakes. And, through various RPG tropes, you begin to help out the villagers and collect things, resources, and complete quests to, be building up the village. This is meant to all then tie into a larger Eiyuden Chronicle game that's coming out next year. But what has really drawn me and pulled me into this is how much of the a piece of candy aspect there is. None of these quests are ever, super long endeavors. It's always like, well, I've got another 5 minutes, so yeah, let me quickly nip out and, gather up these few more resources or progress further in the story, because there's also just in general a story going on. But it's all side scroller action combat. But each of the face buttons you have corresponds to a different character in your party. So like the left face button is for the main character. Her name is CJ. And she just has like a quick short range scythe a pickaxe attack. But then I've just gotten up to where you get a builder kangaroo that's dressed in full anime apparel, and he has a giant buster sword looking thing,
of course,
but he's mapped to the top face button, and each of them has their own purpose in the world, which is quite fun and unique to get through. It's almost Metroidvania-y in it. It's progress through the story enough, now you've got the kangaroo, now you can destroy this pillar of rocks because he's stronger, and then you open up more area to keep exploring, all the while continuing to expand the village, learn more about the people who live there. Then you can upgrade your equipment and stuff. But there's a cool comboing feature that kind of the same way in tag battle fighter games, that if you swap to your partner at the end of a big combo, then they can like fly in and do a special attack. You can do that all the time with all the characters you have. So at the moment, because I just have the two, I can only do so much, but I can see some pretty wild combos being able to like start getting made as I like short hop, double attack, then the kangaroo comes flying in, does a down slash that bounces an enemy up into the air, and then swap back into the first girl who does like a spinning tornado attack to take someone off the screen. It is not a dense game. It is not something that that I have any fear about like putting down, wandering away from, and forgetting where I'm at, or there's not too much complexity to it.
Right.
But it's just like a fun little game. I think I've been gravitating towards those as of late. Between Bug Snacks and this and whatever other game I was playing 2 weeks ago.
It's kind of easy to grasp, chill.
I'm in like holding patent, waiting for some big title to drop.
Yeah, I hear Starfield's around the corner.
Yeah, around the corner.
And a wave of huge releases coming very soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've got the time formerly known as E3 coming up. I'm sure that there'll be plenty of surprise announcements to come.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of press conferences to play in the next few weeks.
That's right, a lot of things to watch and then be excited over, and then realize, wait a minute, I shouldn't be this excited because these are all fake.
Yes,
coming out.
It's all CG
from now.
Remind me, so Eiyuden Chronicles, I think the hype behind it, right, is that it's like a spiritual successor to Suikoden, right? I think that's why people are like, oh, hell yeah.
I'll take your word for it.
Honestly, I have no clue.
Is that what it is? People are way into Suikoden. Well, the people that are like, demand more.
It's just another one of those like old JRPGs where like, everyone has that fan base, that they're the fan of that one,
that's true.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe. Because I know it's been pretty hyped. Like it was a Kickstarter thing, and it was a huge Kickstarter, and people have been talking about it forever. I think it's been around for a while, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's this one that came out, and then 2023 is going to be Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes.
100 Heroes.
If it is something like Suikoden, then I'm sure that they're not joking when they call it 100 Heroes. Mm-hmm. And there will just be 100 heroes for you to play as.
That sounds like hell to me. That's too many.
Yeah, that's a pretty big roster. But, yeah, that's Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. I think it's out on like all the platforms right now, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely everything.
I just now learned it's not a turn-based RPG. Also,
well, yeah, that's entirely what I went into it thinking, and I was like, yeah, no, I'll check this out. But yeah, and I'm trying to find some confirmation whether
weird style,
whether 100 Heroes will or will not be turn-based as well.
It would be weird if they released this and then like we're changing the game entirely. Entirely different genre.
It is meant to be like a prequel thing.
Yeah, I know, but that would just be funny.
I mean, it's kind of like how Curse of the Moon, right, for Bloodstained. I mean, I guess they do play similarly. It's just that Curse of the Moon is more like NES.
One's older, yeah, but they're the same genre. One's just an older style.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I should also add, it's got that really nice like 2D HD almost looking aesthetic to it.
Oh, okay.
It does have that for the like sprites and stuff, which I like. And then I see the backgrounds and I'm like, oh, this is not very good looking 3D stuff.
Yeah, it's 2D HD sprites on polygonal backdrops.
Yeah, some of them don't look so hot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm honestly like I'm watching the 100 Heroes trailer right now, trying to figure out if it's going to be turn-based or not, and I cannot figure it out for the life of me.
Sometimes, I don't know, there's something about like JRPGs or that when you see all these release trailers, they don't ever show gameplay, and you're like, I have no idea what this is.
Yeah. I mean, there is some gameplay of like walking around the overworld in that trailer, if I remember right. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if we were doing news and I didn't know Ni no Kuni's got a MMO that's out, in Japan and coming west
Oh.
next month, I think, or maybe later this month. And I was looking it up, and I was like, so what is that? Because I liked Ni no Kuni as a series. I'm not interested in MMO at all. But I was like, I wonder what the gameplay's like. Is it going to be something weird? Or like, is it just using the Ni no Kuni name, but going to be some stupid Pokemon Go thing or something?
Or is it finally that Pokemon MMO everyone wanted?
I looked at all of the official trailers. I have no idea what it is still. I have no idea if it's a turn-based thing. No clue. I'm sure there's might be some Japanese gameplay if I like Googled that, but I was trying to just look at a trailer. No idea. It's Ni no Kuni. That's about all I know.
That's
and for
fair.
some reason, they seem like the main character. I'm sorry, I'm going on a Ni no Kuni thing. I didn't expect to, but like what threw me about this
awoke
trailer
something in you.
was that the original Ni no Kuni's got this little weird kid with the blonde hair, like that style, that like bowl cut kind of style look. And for some reason, they like, oh yes, this is the defining feature of Ni no Kuni. That's what the main character must look like in this MMO. And I don't understand. It's like, no, that's just what the kid looked like. What are we doing here? And anyway, that just threw me off. I was like, why does that lady look just like? Why does she have the same haircut as the kid?
I mean, it's the tap into the fandom.
And also the same like red cape. I don't get it.
I mean,
2
it's just
didn't
like
have that. Ni no Kuni 2 wasn't like that.
yeah, it was its own character. But I mean, it's just like how Final Fantasy 14. There's like when in the ads for it, there's like that main dude who looks like he has the hair of like the perfect mishmash of every Final Fantasy protagonist's hair. You know what I mean? Like it just looks so Final Fantasy character. It's probably that kind of idea, you know, like we want to tap into that without actually being a specific character, right? Yeah. So I haven't been playing. Well, I mean, I have been playing games this week, but I want to talk about Legos, and not Lego Star Wars, but I bought the Super Mario, the question mark block Lego set. If we had video, you could see it in the video because I have it displayed right now.
It's good shit.
But it's fucking cool. If you haven't seen this, you basically get to build like from the outside, it just looks like a question mark block, like in 3D, right? It's pretty big. It's like maybe
it is pretty large,
like
10-inch cube,
8-10 inches, yeah.
Yeah.
But then inside of it, you can like flip the inside out and get like a diorama of 4 levels from Super Mario 64. All of those you build yourself, and then there's a little nook where like Bowser, you can hide Bowser in there.
Yeah, and it actually has a little crank to where you can like spin it to where like you could say Mario spinning Bowser out.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And this is the first time I touched Lego in like over a decade, and it was just fun. It was just fun, like that pure childhood wonder, imagination kind of fun stuff. And it took me, I don't know, like definitely over a couple days to put it together. I didn't do it all in one sitting. Maybe like an hour or 2 here or there across the past week. But there's just something like kind of therapeutic and relaxing about just clicking these little bricks together and just seeing the thing come to, because when you first look at it, like in the first few steps, you're like, how the fuck is this going to turn into that? And then you get to the end and you're like, oh, that's fucking cool. It's Peach's castle. You know?
Do you think this has like sparked your desire to look at some of the other Mario sets, like the one with the robot Mario? That can like pick up coins and stuff.
Those aren't as interesting to me.
Yeah, I think it really does kind of. I think I like Lego sets where it feels like you can kind of put it on display. And, it's pretty.
So if you're looking for that, so I'm way into Lego. I literally put together something like 2 days ago.
Yeah,
because like you mentioned that therapeutic, it's the perfect thing for me. Like if I have just so much shit going on, and I don't want to think about anything else, that is the perfect like just zen thing to do. Listen to something, watch something, and just put together that set, and nothing will bother me for however long I'm going to do it. So I've also got the question mark block, and it was such a fun thing to put together. So satisfying. Every little moment was like, oh my god, that's so rad to put together. One that's not quite as fun to put together, but is almost, I would say, might be even cooler once it is together. They have the NES set where you build an NES and the TV.
And it like scrolls, right?
Yeah, you've got a little crank on the side that you can do, and it'll run Mario through the first level of Super Mario Brothers. And it's so fun. Like you can even make a little cartridge of Super Mario Brothers that can go in the NES, and it'll click down into it just like a real one.
Oh, that's cool.
You make a controller that's got a cord that you can plug it in. That one is really cool, and it's definitely displayable. The NES one, but I'm with you. I'm more into the display ones like that. The Mario sets where you build a Mario level or course and run through. I definitely could see the interactivity of that for a kid. It's just not what I'm wanting out of them.
Yeah, I mean, this definitely has awakened something in me where like I do want to get more Lego sets. Like I have that Horizon Tall Neck back ordered for whenever the fuck that gets back in stock.
Usually those back orders will be filled quicker than you think.
Yeah. Because that tall neck just looks cool. Like, I'm not the biggest Horizon fan. Like, I'm not diehard for it, but it's like, that's just a cool fucking thing to have. It's just a robot giraffe with a router on its head.
Like, I'm hoping this means that we're going to open the door for more video game Lego stuff. Because I think the Mario stuff has done really well for them. And they put out a bunch of sets, and I know they're going to supposedly keep putting that out as a line. Like, obviously, the big one is Star Wars. Star Wars Lego is fucking insane. They put out like so many every year. I may or may not have that. They put them out every year, and like it seems like that's what they're doing with Mario. Is it's going to be a line every year where they're putting more stuff out. So we'll see where they go. Like if they, I could imagine a day where they have got the Hogwarts castle. Maybe that Peach's castle will just be its own big fucking thing.
Dude, I would kill for that because especially if you could.
Someone's talked about it. I'm sure they have.
Like if you could dollhouse it, you could because you could open up this little Peach's castle and you see like a little mini version of it, but like
little
it's very
things
tiny.
of the paintings to put in there, little painting pieces. It's pretty fun. It was just super fun to see all the stuff. Like, oh my god, it's Mario 64.
Yeah. Like other ones that I'm kind of interested in, I do want to get the Roman Colosseum because that just looks like it's massive, but that's
so big. It does
cool.
look rad, but I was thinking like, where the hell would I ever put it?
That's more of a space
and
thing,
it's also like, super expensive. One that I saw recently. I'm sorry, we're just gonna go on the Legos now. But
this is the Lego podcast now.
What's really cool is they have a globe out there. Have you seen that?
I've seen that one.
Looks so neat. Don't know where to put it, but it looks neat.
I'm not even the biggest Harry Potter fan, but I do kind of want to build Hogwarts Castle just because it's like you're building a castle, right? And they have another one that just looks like a stack of knickknacks with like Hedwig at the top, where like there's like a little wand and a chocolate frog, and it's just like that looks like you could just put it on a shelf, Yeah.
So we were talking about, you mentioned that Millennium Falcon. I do have that Millennium Falcon. I bought that because it was from a kid. I've been way into the Legos, and I remember they put out the original Ultimate Collector Series. Millennium Falcon in like 2001 or 2 or something, and it was a bunch of money then. And I was like, man, I'm never gonna. That's just never gonna be part of my life when I was a kid. But it was that one like big thing I always wanted. And then now I had a job, and I was like, you know what? This is probably irresponsible, but I could buy this. They put out a new set that was $800 and not $3,000 because that was, you could only buy the old set and it was a collector's item at that point. So I was like, I can do this, and I had a bunch of gift card stuff, so I didn't actually pay $800. But anyway, the reason I brought it up is it's so massive. I don't have anywhere to put it. It's sitting in a room because I can't put it anywhere.
Yeah, isn't it like the size of a dinner table basically?
More or less.
Yeah. like surface area wise. Yeah.
Like your desk people get to see it, but like it's I think it's over 3 feet long. At its longest point.
Jesus.
And like when I bought it, I got
get it ceiling mounted.
I bought you bring out the manual, that shows you how to put it together. That thing probably weighs 6, 7, 8 pounds. Just the book. Like it makes a really loud thud when you put it down.
Yeah. Like you could hurt someone with it.
It took a long time. Let's put it this way. I think I watched every single Star Wars movie while I did it. I watched a few series of shows.
Does this include the sequels? Like, is this? I'm trying to timeline.
Yes.
This. Okay.
Rise of Skywalker wasn't out yet when I watched it. Okay. But I watched Rogue One. I watched everything in between. I watched them all. Every single one, and a bunch of other stuff. I don't know how many total hours I put in building it. But what's funny is my sister had my nephew at the time, so I took pictures along the way, and then there's pictures of the baby, and there's pictures of the Lego.
Then there's pictures of your baby.
That's it's funny. That's what I said at work because people knew my sister was having a baby. I said, "You want to see a picture of the baby?" And I was showing them the Falcon instead.
Yeah, this is my child.
Yeah. But
my boy.
Anyway, I can talk about Lego all the time. They're rad. They're perfect Zen thing to do to just zone out. And
well, then I want to pose to you two. I've just been sitting here listening to you guys geek out, trying to think to myself, what would be like that one that one Lego set from a video game you would love to see? Like, what's a set from a video game that you think would just be like amazing to see?
So the ones you always have to think are like buildings and like vehicles. Like, so in terms of cars or like spaceships or something like that, those just naturally lend themselves well to a model. Like people and stuff, it's like, hey, you can't really get away with that. They don't ever look that great with Lego.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That would be,
you don't think that Harold the giraffe looked good in Lego form when you would walk into Toys R Us?
You know, I would love to see either Persona 3's Tartarus or Persona 5's Mementos. Like, because there's a really slick 2D version of those maps.
There is.
I feel like it'd be cool to see those
awesome.
realized in 3D, but also I feel like they'd be so fragile. Like, you knock them over and it's Jenga. You know,
I think like the hub world from Crash Bandicoot 3 would probably be pretty neat. Like the different control centers and stuff.
I don't know. I'm trying to think of like settings because usually like a setting in a game is either too expansive and open world, or like we're only just now getting to the point where like cities are like impressive. You know, instead they'd be like, here's 10 buildings with people walking around.
I mean, I guess they've done the Roman Colosseum from Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Yeah, that was cool.
Probably the Empire State Building from from Spider-Man. That one.
The New Donk State Building.
Yeah,
please.
I mean, something like we meant Mushroom Kingdom would be fucking rad to have the castle itself, Peach's Castle would be really cool.
How about a really large like Super Mario World map?
Where can I buy that? You just that is the perfect thing. I want that now.
Yeah.
Oh, Super Mario RPG had the coolest like 3D map thing of Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
I would love to see something like that. That'd be great.
Or a Paper Mario battle scene, like that diorama set
that would fit
that you can make.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That would be great. That would look good to display, and if you just like had a whole bunch of like extra backdrops,
let's go big. Let's get like
through.
a 5,000 piece Midgar going.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. If we're doing PlayStation, right? Like, because I mean, the Horizon thing's happening. What if like the Leviathan axe, like a life-size Leviathan axe made of Lego?
I don't know about life-size. They'd never do that, but I could see a big version of that.
Yeah. Or like any of the guns from Ratchet and Clank. Pretty much any of the guns. They all look so weird.
So I'm just thinking of like stuff like Witcher. There's nothing that stands out. Kaer Morhen is the closest thing.
Yeah. I mean, I could see them doing a Kaer Morhen. Yeah.
Thing, but I mean, I'm sure people will be thinking like the Normandy from Mass Effect.
Why isn't there that though? Actually,
it's weird. Now that I said that, I was like, "There's actually why doesn't that exist already?" I don't know.
I mean, Mass Effect is just Star Wars.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Huh.
Yeah.
Weird. But it's pretty new that games getting into Lego because I know there's been some Overwatch sets.
Have there?
And there's then whoever the competitor is for Lego, I can't remember their fucking name. There's all the Call of Duty ones.
Is it with like the bunny Diplo?
I don't know.
Duplo.
Maybe. I was gonna say Diplo, and I'm like, that's a different thing.
But yeah, there was some Overwatch sets that were out, but they were all like pretty tiny. There was nothing. It was a lot of the miniatures and of the characters and stuff. But
yeah,
so there hasn't really been that many. And I know there's some Minecraft sets.
I know that Mega Bloks did a bunch of Halo stuff. So
okay.
That kind of
I think Mega Bloks did the Call of Duty stuff too. I think that's the one.
Okay.
I don't know if they still make them, but
yeah.
I mean, the fact that we can sit here and be like, that'd be cool.
There's a bunch of cool stuff that would be out there. My dream set is not a video game one. Was always like Minas Tirith or Helm's Deep from Lord of the Rings. Would be so fucking cool.
You know, I would build an Xbox Series X out of Legos. I feel like that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just the big black brick, but
yeah. They just send you the one brick and a sticker set.
Not even a sticker set, just like the little white circle, the Xbox button, and you just pop it in.
I mean, I've put a decal on my Xbox to make it look less like a dark obelisk sitting in my entertainment cabinet.
It does look like something very dystopian.
Yeah. It looks off-putting. I remember when I first got it and put it in, I was just like, that looks wrong. I gotta fix that.
PlayStation just looks alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have both, and it's always so weird seeing them next to each other. It's like from two different worlds.
Do you have your PlayStation standing up or on its side?
They're both standing.
Okay, I have both of mine on this side.
That must be weird. I feel like that's weirder.
That's weirder. Yeah, I was about to say that's weird.
Well, because I don't have the space underneath my TV cabinet. When every single other console was, these are designed to be, these were designed to be on their side. I had my entertainment cabinet built
that's true.
for consoles to be on their side, or like flat subwoofers and stuff. And then they're like, hey, we're going to release 2 consoles that look better standing up. And I thought to myself, fuck.
Now, just throw them in your bag and then put your bag next to the TV, so you just have cords running out of your cursed bag.
Yeah.
Imagine the overheat issues you'd get.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, I leave all of my consoles on, and you look over to the console bag and it's like actively smoking.
Well, it can tap into the heat sinks of all the other consoles around it to distribute the heat.
That's true.
That's how that works.
One of the extra marketing points that they never talk about with the GameCube is that it actually is itself a heat sink. You just put it on top of a different console, and it will disperse the heat.
Yeah, there you go. There's a Lego GameCube. That'd be easy to do.
Oh, yeah. That'd be another, just a purple cube.
Yeah, purple cube.
A Lego GameCube that, like that question mark box, you can like flip open and it has like a Wind Waker diorama set, a Metroid Prime diorama. Like,
okay, that'd be cool.
That's
Lego.
That's it.
Hire us. We got
ideas, Lego.
That would be fucking rad. Yeah, a Wind Waker thing pops out.
Mm-hmm.
Him on the boat, just on the sea or something.
Yeah, Shrek Super Slam diorama would be great.
Well, you could have.
Yeah.
Oh, I tell you what, you have the 3 because it's got 3 dioramas at the bottom and then 1 at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you could have like 1 diorama be Mario, 1 diorama be Pokemon, 1 diorama be Zelda, and then the top one is just a Battlefield from Smash Bros.
That'd be cool.
Amazing.
That's it. That's That's my pitch.
Right,
Sharks, I am looking for a $2 million buy-in.
and I'm glad that this final idea forgets about Metroid, just like Nintendo did. And with that,
mentioned Metroid. He mentioned Metroid.
Yeah, the final idea though doesn't.
It's actually in the box. It comes with a little F-Zero card, but the instructions just say throw it in the trash.
Yeah, just throw it away. We gave you garbage.
Well, That's funny. I'm glad you mentioned Mario and GameCube, because a Delfino Plaza would be great. Let's get Delfino.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. All right, well with that, let's wrap up this episode of the podcast. We hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to leave us a review on whatever platform you are listening on, and share it with a friend if you really liked it. Spread the joy, share the love. We'd love to keep doing this podcast, and any little bit helps us, and if you haven't yet, please hit subscribe so you can always get new episodes delivered right to you. And let us know in the comments below on YouTube or on our site techraptor.net, what Lego set would you like to see from a video game or movie or whatever. What Lego set do you want to see? Let us know in the comments below. We're always publishing news, reviews, and features throughout the week at TechRaptor.net. But if you want more of our show, you can tune in next Monday. We'll see you then.